All right, join us now on Drive the Lane, former Ohio State basketball player, JJ Sullinger. JJ, welcome to the show.
What's up, man? Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Absolutely. My first question for you, and I bet you've been asked this a fair amount. If you and the whole Sullinger gang is out and about, maybe they're at a game, they're at a high school game, Ohio State game, whatever, and someone yells, "Hey, Sully," does everybody turn around? Do you turn around?
Everybody. I mean, everybody but probably my mom. My mom doesn't go by Sully. She never did. But Jared does, Jules does, I do, Satch does, even my son Jalen does, even my son Jackson does. I mean, pretty much everybody would turn around like, "What's up?" And then we would all act like we knew him too.
So are there variations of Sully? Is there Big Sully and Lil Sully, or
It just depends.
You're the nickname. You got.
It depends on who you with. If me and my dad are together, I'm Little Sully. He's Big Sully. If I'm with Jared, even though he's younger, he's Big Sully. I'm Little Sully. If I'm with my son, I'm Big Sully. He's Little Sully. So it's.
I love it. I love it. No, you're back in, though. You're back in. We lost you for a second, but you're back.
We got the gist of it, though. You're only Big Sully if you're with your son, basically, is what you're saying.
Pretty much. That's the only time I'm Big Sully, man.
What do you guys ever all watch games together?
When we do, man, it's an argument because everybody feels like their way is their way or the highway. But yeah, we watch a lot of Jalen's games, my son's games. We might watch them all together. We watch the Buckeyes when we're all together. Playoffs, we pretty much get together to watch the playoffs. So we watch a lot of basketball, man.
Last Sullinger question. So, who has the best basketball mind?
That's a good one. I mean, Jared, hands down. Jared or Jules. I know my dad's not gonna like that. My dad thinks outside of the box sometimes. My dad thinks outside of the box sometimes. But Julian and Jared, I mean, Jules, with his coaching abilities, he's doing real well at Kent State. He knows the game inside out. Jared, I mean, I don't think there's nobody in our family that knows X's and O's better than Jared. I mean, he's been with some of the best, though. He's been with Doc, Brad Stevens and some guys like that. So he knows the game pretty well.
Well, we think you know the game pretty well, too, which is why, we're bringing your expertise to the show.
What I'm saying? I'm up there. I'm somewhere up there.
So first hard-hitting question, we got to talk about this team. 3-game skid. Are you the guy that's like, good, get the losses out of the way before the tournament? Or are you the guy that's like, no, win as many as you can, stay as high as you can for as long as you can?
Nah, I think we should be winning. We have to, because these are NCAA caliber games. You know what I mean? So these are games that we got to start winning. You know what I mean? It's not a time to be sliding. It's not a time to take off, lose focus. These are must-win games, and this game, it's getting down to crunch time, man. Going into the Big Ten tournament, we got to find some momentum.
And just to take a step back, are you a guy that believes in peaking at the wrong time?
Teams absolutely peak at the wrong time, man, and I don't think that's our problem, though. I don't think we've peaked because I don't think we've – honestly, some games early on we won, but we didn't really win them. You know what I mean? If that makes any sense.
Sure.
We didn't play – I don't think we've played our best basketball yet, and I think if you ask Coach, I don't think he thinks that we've played our best basketball yet.
Let's take another step back because Andrew just dove us right into the meat and potatoes of what I want our little discussion to be. Let's talk about the year as a whole. Obviously, you're only as good as your last game. We're on a 3-game skid. But if anybody knows anything about exceeding expectations, it's you and the squads that you had at Ohio State. What are your thoughts on this season as a whole?
Well, as a whole, I mean, obviously we're doing pretty good. Taking away the last few games, but anytime you get a chance to be, top 10 in the country, fourth in the country at its best, that's a good season. You know what I mean? But you got to complete the season. You know what I mean? The season has to complete, and these last few games, we haven't been playing our basketball. The effort hasn't been there. And we played some pretty good teams. Not to take anything away from the teams that we play, because that's a gauntlet that we've been in. But I think we're lacking effort right now, and that's the most disappointing part of all of it.
When you were playing, what were some ways that your coaches, no matter who it was, because you had a few different coaches, but what were some ways that your coaches kind of rallied the troops and were like, "Hey, I know we're on a little bit of a skid right here, but like, this is what we have to do to get back on track. This is what we have to do, to put in perspective now to beat Illinois and get ready for the Big Ten tournament."
Listen here, man. My first year playing at Ohio State was under Jim O'Brien. He kicked us out of our locker room. We got kicked out of the locker room. We were playing so bad. So I don't know if Coach Holman wants to do that just yet. But, playing for Thad Matta, man, he did a really good job of keeping things in perspective and making things about right now, not about tomorrow, not about the Big Ten tournament, not about, the NCAA tournament, the seedings or anything like that. He made it about right now. And he had a saying, it was, never get tired of preparing to win. And we kind of took that to heart. We weren't that good. We weren't that talented. So we made up for lack of talent with, hard work, grit, toughness, maturity. We were very mature. We had like 3 or 4, 5-year seniors. So, he didn't really have to do too much to get us going. But when he did, his main focus was just, preparing to win.
When you got kicked out of the locker room, did he take away the Ohio State gear as well?
We didn't get our gear taken away, but we had to wash it ourselves, though. We had to wash it ourselves, man. Hey, it was it was bad. You know how when you sweat, and man, back when I played, our jerseys there was no such thing as a dry fit. So our practice jerseys, if you hung them up sweaty, they got stiff as a board. So you would have to like rake them on out and stuff like that. It was nasty, bro. We were some dweebs, but we got it together.
We my sophomore year, we not very good, as you know. That was the worst year in Coach Matta's coaching career.
Mm-hmm.
And the beginning of the year, we played OU in a scrimmage, and we had some recruits there watching. Like, obviously, the secret scrimmage, like, unless you're playing, a Xavier or West Virginia or Louisville, some of the other teams we've played, you're expected for it to be basically a practice, right? Like, you're just going out there to run your sets, get as many guys in there. It's a scrimmage. That's exactly what it is. And we got blown out on our home floor to OU. And the next day we were kicked out of the locker room. But not only were we kicked out of the locker room, we were wearing gray shirts and black pants, Nike, just plain stuff. And I remember sitting there like, first of all, like, this is not what I signed up for. Like, but second of all, how are we going to fix this? And, at the end of the day, and you'll agree with this, it's up to the players to draw that line in the sand, right? I mean, it's, Coach Holman could say whatever he wants to, but if it's not coming from Kyle Young or CJ Walker, it doesn't matter, right? So what do you think in terms of a player's perspective? What are you trying to do to get us off the schneid?
It just got to get back to the basics, man. It just seems like the attitude. I don't really feel like our attitude is bad. The body language and things like that isn't terrible. It could always be better. But I just think the lack of effort, you know what I mean? You look at some of the plays yesterday, I just think of one in particular. Dwayne Washington got back down, from like basically the 3-point line. The guy kept just bang. He wasn't even there. It was like he wasn't even there. Plays like that, the 50-50 balls when the ball's on the floor, first one down usually gets it. We haven't been getting those. We've been given way too many second chance opportunities. And again, against really good teams, you know what I mean? So,
but still, those are the things you can control.
Exactly. And I think those are the things that, they just need to, hone in on and just, focus on as far as, getting back to, playing the Ohio State way. So cliche, but it's the right way to play.
Is it a little weird for you to be watching and seeing an Ohio State team, especially under Holtman in his few years, be way, way better on offense than they are on defense?
Yeah, it's different because, you would think that, I know I've heard him say that, if you can't play defense in my program, you can't play. And
Ben, something's not
going because one of his best defensive players can't find time. Musa Jallow should be playing a lot more in my opinion, but he can't seem to find time. I know he's going through injuries and things like that, lingering injuries and things like that, but Musa defends. He very rarely gets beat on the drive. He can guard 1 through 4. He's strong. He can rebound. I just don't see how he doesn't get more opportunities.
This is the year where Holtman, he uses Musa as sort of like a safety blanket, right? Like he wants to play Justin. He wants to play these other guys. But in the back of his head, he knows that he's got Musa Jallow to fall back on. And this is the point of the year. I look at my senior year, our stretch run that we made at the end of the year where we won games in the Big Ten tournament. We won the games in the NCAA tournament. Like Musa was our cornerstone on defense. He was guarding the best player. He's playing 30 minutes a game. I have a feeling that when Holtman goes back to the drawing board, which I'm sure he already has the past few days, he's thinking Musa Jallow's got to not only start to set the tone, but he's got to play a lot. And I wouldn't be surprised. I think you're spot on. If you see a shift in, all right, like we can win games scoring 70 points. We don't have to score 90,
That's basically what we've been doing. We've been, trying to outscore our opponents because we haven't really had those defensive. And we're undersized too, so don't.
It's tough.
We can talk about that too. But when you're undersized, that's even more reason why you can't give up straight line drives and things like that. And we're just, we are getting blown by, like we're not even there. So you got to find. There's got to be somebody, something has to happen. Something has to shift for things to start going well again.
Well, you bring up a good point. Every time a team makes a deep run in March, there's a not random guy, but there's an additional guy that kind of emerges that's like, man, this guy's been playing great since the Big Ten tournament, or this guy's been playing great in the ACC tournament, SEC, and that's how that team, makes a Final Four run, Elite Eight, etc. Ohio State kind of had that stretch where, they were getting it from Dwayne every night. They were getting it from EJ every night. And then they really took it to a new level when Justin was stepping up and really not missing in that stretch. Do you think he's the key from an offensive standpoint? Is there someone else in your mind that you're like, this guy needs to emerge as like the third offensive weapon for this team to make a deep run?
Well, I think, what I really think is, guys are keying in on Justin right now. He's basically getting face guard, which can open up some opportunities for some other guys. That gives Dwayne a little bit more wiggle room on the wing. That gives EJ a little bit more wiggle room, in the mid post when guys can't help. I think Justin just has to be patient and just trust the system. I think Holtman will throw in some new wrinkles to get him some shots, because when he's hitting shots, we're flowing. You know what I mean? So he can definitely be that third guy, but teams are damn near boxing one in on him, man. Like, you know what I mean? Like, they're not leaving him. So, but again, that's for us to deal with. We just have to make adjustments.
Who's your favorite player on the team?
I love Michi Johnson. I've been watching him forever. He's same class as my son, so I love him. But EJ Liddell, EJ is a beast. I think he could do a lot more than what he's doing. I've seen clips of him in high school, and he's just giving us a little showing of what he's capable of. Yeah, EJ or Michi, I like them all. I'm a free whiz guy. I tweet that a lot, Free Wiz, because I think he needs to know that, you know, we trust him. We, meaning the coaches, we trust him to make, you know, decisions. I'm
He's
not going
been
to say
free
good or
to
bad,
a
but
significant amount this year as opposed to years past, right?
yeah, absolutely.
I remember talking about that with you last year at the captain's game. You were like, dude, like you watch them every day in practice. What are we doing? I'm like, I agree. Like free whiz.
Man, he used to look over his shoulder every time he made a mistake. And
Yeah, because I was coming in for him.
Dwayne makes mistakes, man. And sometimes I think, especially this team, we got to kind of live with those a little bit because – and we have – but I think we have to live with those mistakes because, you know, he does so much other things for us and opens it up for everyone else.
That's when he's at his best, obviously. If he's got the longest leash he's ever had. Right?
Yeah, for sure. His leash used to be short as hell.
I know, because trust me, Holtman would look at me and go, "Hey, one more time and you're going in." So, I mean, I remember my most vivid Dwayne memory is we're playing at the United Center. Obviously, being from Chicago, like that was the coolest thing for me to be playing in the UC. Yeah. We're playing Illinois, and Illinois was doing the Underwood style where I was like, I couldn't believe they played that way. They were pressing and trapping, and I was like, you can't win playing this way. That's why he changed. Now they're winning. Imagine that. But they're trapping, and Dwayne throws a behind the back pass. And I got up because I was like, I'm going in. Like, it was a natural reaction. And sure enough, Holman was like, get him. And I was like, oh. I was like, I got to go play in this game right now. I'm not meant for this game. But free whiz, man, free whiz. But he's got to start making better decisions too, though. You know what I mean? But it's a double-edged sword.
It is.
I trust him, though. We all trust him.
I got a prediction that I want to know get your thoughts on. It's not a prediction as much as it's like a self-fulfilling prophecy. So I think whether it's against Michigan in the Big Ten tournament or, you know, a game to go to the Elite Eight, I think Justice is going to have like a big 23-ish point game. And it's going to be – we're just going to be like, where has this been all year, the last month? And it's just going to be like a huge game. And people are like, all right, if he can do that again, they can keep winning and keep winning. So that's my prediction, is that he has a huge game sometime soon. I thought it was coming against Iowa. At the start of the second half, he made those threes. I was like, ooh, I was going to tweet a Justice League gif. I was so excited, but it didn't work out.
Yeah, man. I think he, and I'm at that age where I feel like, okay, you can't talk too bad about them because they're just kids. I'm at that age now, right? But I think he's the most frustrating only because he has so much potential. He has so much. I mean, he's a big guard who can do just about anything and everything out there. And sometimes I don't know where he's at. Sometimes I don't even know if he's on the floor. Like, sometimes I don't even know if he's in uniform. He frustrates me, man. Because I know he's better than what he's done up to this point.
I think it's a little tough for him because he clearly has taken on a completely different role than, you know, at Cal. He was the leading scorer, leading rebounder, had the ball in his hand the entire game. And now it's like, all right, like, first of all, he was playing point guard for half the season, and He's not a point guard. Even though he can do it, he's not a point guard. So it's been interesting for him. He's definitely had his moments. I mean, I remember the first game of the year, me and Andrew were texting. We're like, this dude is the next LeBron James. Like,
true. We thought, man, I'm with you.
No, it'll be interesting. The best thing about this team is the depth, and that any given night, I mean, shoot, Michi's 17 years old and could have 12 points. I mean, you know, like any given night, somebody is going to give a boost, whether it's in the starting lineup, off the bench, offensively, defensively. That's the best part about this team, which not a lot of other teams can say. I mean, Iowa used to be known for their depth. Now they play 6-7 guys, you know, so it's interesting. It's interesting.
I'm surprised Justice didn't adjust better, because Hawaii is so similar to Columbus that you would think he would just feel so at home in Columbus, like he was just like growing up.
Oof, man, that's I've never heard that comparison before.
It's basically the same. All right, we're looking ahead to the Illinois game, obviously. most important game of the year because it's the one we're playing. It's the next one. What are your – we'll give you 3 keys to the game. What are your keys?
First and foremost, man, we gotta do whatever it takes to stop the big from just doing whatever he wants. Iowa, we did not do that. Luka, sometimes we weren't even there. And it wasn't even – they're going to get there. They're going to get theirs. They're big guys. You know what I mean? I can't even think of the guy's name for Illinois.
Kofi, the walking STD, Kofi Cockburn.
There you go. Yeah, exactly.
Trademarked by Drive the Lane.
I knew it was something, but no, we got to do whatever it takes to stop him from getting easy baskets. He's going to get some, but we got to stop him from getting as many as he wants. The next key is transition defense. Our transition defense has been horrible these past couple games, and it's just we gotta make an effort to get back on defense. And then the last thing is, which I don't think many people would say. I mean, people would say, but they probably don't think this is coming. Gotta have fun out there, man. Everybody's frowning, everybody's upset, everybody's tight. We gotta get loose and we gotta have fun out there, man. Like, guys have to have fun. Dwayne has sometimes too much fun out there, but they gotta have fun, man. Be loose. Everybody and anybody would love to be in their position. They got to kind of remember that and just, play that way.
Holt looked like he was having fun in the Michigan State game right there at the end.
Right. Obviously we couldn't hear exactly what he was saying, but, man, I thought for the longest time he was asking to be thrown out. He just kept pointing that way. Like,
have you?
I just felt like he was asking to be thrown out.
You ever hear Coach Mata get so mad where he said, "Please give me a technical and throw me out of this game"? He used to say that all the time.
Yeah. Exactly. That's exactly what I was thinking.
The refs would come up to me and they'd be like, "Should we toss your coach right now?" Like, he's asking for it. And at that point, I was so scared of the refs. I was like, I'm not saying anything to them. But then, he used to be like, "Go ahead, throw me out. That's what I want. Please throw me out."
Man, I thought he was trying to get thrown out. I mean, he just kept pointing wherever he was pointing to, man. That's where he wanted to go.
I know, and I said this on Twitter, I'm not a big, hey, the refs lost us the game or the refs were the difference in the game. But that was, no exaggeration, the worst officiated Ohio State game that I had ever seen. Did you feel the same way?
It was bad, man. It was bad. It was almost like, because it wasn't like they weren't calling fouls. They called at the beginning of the game.
They called every moving screen.
Every single call. But it was almost like once it got in the paint, it was like no holds barred. Nothing mattered. Like nothing was called. And the only thing I will say was EJ was looking for the fouls at the end.
Yeah.
Instead of just going through the he didn't need the foul. He was already up there, just finished his breakfast. He was looking for the foul a little bit, but even then he was still getting hammered and they weren't calling anything. So.
If my philosophy, reffing wise, has always been, if you're going to be terrible, just be consistently terrible so that we know what to expect. And if they're all bad, then that's fine. But you can't. You just can't you just can't call it one way and then stop doing that. Or I'm picturing Aaron Henry and EJ literally shoving each other with the ball in his hand at the end of the game and them just not calling anything. It's like,
they just let it go.
Charge. I don't care. Just call something. They're tackling each other.
Yeah, it was bad, man. That was a bad officiating game, and it definitely had something to do with the outcome. I'm gonna say that we played good enough to win, but we didn't play. We played good enough to be in that game. The referees kind of took it away from us a little bit.
I hate where my mind is taking me right now, but it has crossed my mind that game was fixed for Michigan State. Isn't that crazy?
Hey, you know what though? I will say this: they had skin in the game getting Michigan State to the tournament and things like that. So you could be right. I really don't want to think that way. That's Michigan State's obviously Tom Izzo is one of the best coaches ever. I have a ton of friends on that team. They played really hard and they obviously played good enough to win the game, right? But
part of me is like, how in the world did they not, like the shot clock violation? Like, how, do they not have the replay? Like, we don't need to dwell on that because it's in the past. But I just gotta hear someone else's thoughts because like it crossed my mind that they wanted Tom Izzo in the tournament. That's all.
Yeah, they might have wanted him to win that one. That was a big win for him too. I mean, you know, beating the 4th team in the country, coming off beating the 5th team in the country. You know, it's yeah.
And then they go and lay an egg against me.
JJ, I got one last question for you, and this is going a little bit into the future. Do you think Zed Key has potential to be the biggest? Is this guy seriously still on the team since Aaron Kraft? Because I think he's got like a 4-year career, people hate playing him every year vibe to him.
Absolutely. You know, that kid, I'll tell you what, he is a force to be reckoned with, man. When he gets his body under control, because I think sometimes he's just a little bit top heavy at times. But as soon as he learns that body control and gets that grown man strength, because, you know, he's only a freshman, I think he's got a chance to be really, really good. Really good.
I think your brother tweeted, he was like, Zed's always open, no matter what. He's either actually open or he's making it look like he's open, but he's always open down there.
That's a good point. I didn't see that tweet, but that's absolutely on point. Dude is always calling for it. He always wants it. And he's always got position.
And every time
he always got position
3 feet from the basket.
I'm telling you, man, his duck ins. I know somebody over there. T Dow's is on staff. I don't know if T Dow's has been working with him, but his ducking reminds me a lot of T Dow's because he just keeps it's a wrap.
So let me ask you, and this is one of my last questions. You know the trick of if you say this is my last question, you can just keep asking questions. You know, so. For sure. But this has been thrown around on Twitter. We talked about it a little bit on last week's episode. If you could add one former player to this team, who would you add?
He froze for dramatic effect.
Yeah.
Did I lose you guys?
We got audio now, but you're frozen.
Well, damn.
No, it's just such a good question.
No, we got you. We got you now. Good stalling. Yeah, good stalling tactic.
Man, that's a good question. I don't know, man. Who am I throwing in there? I throw a Dave Lighty in there for toughness. Aaron Kraft for, because we've been having some point guard troubles. Yeah, man. I would throw, Dave Lighty or Aaron Kraft.
You want to know what I said?
Who's your choice?
I said, This was back when they were number 4, and we could have argued that they were number 3 because Michigan hadn't played. And I said, if you put Sam Thompson on this team and you capped off a couple Dwayne threes in a row with a Justin 3 and then a crazy out of bounds lob to Sam Thompson, it'd be you wouldn't be able to. The other team would just be like, all right, that's it. We can't beat these guys. They're too athletic and good as shooters. So it was a sneaky pick, but Sam Thompson.
Sam, man, hey, that's a good pick, man. That's always a good pick because he's always good for a highlight. So I'll take that pick.
My pick was a little bit more serious. Aaron Kraft is the obvious answer in my opinion, just because point guard depth. CJ was hurt, blah blah blah, whatever. Like that's the easy pick. Like that's what Holman would say if he got interviewed. But my pick, Dave Lighty, is a great call. That's someone we didn't talk about, but I said Jayshawn Tate, and not the Jayshawn Tate that's starting for the Rockets. That's not fair. But the Jayshawn Tate who was second team All Big Ten as a senior, who handled the ball a little bit, guarded the other team's best guy. He could add. He's shorter than any guy we have in the front court, but he adds depth to the front court too, right? I mean,
for sure. That's not a bad pick at all.
Yeah.
That's not a bad pick at all, man. He's doing well. He's doing well at Houston too, man. I'm so proud of him, man.
Oh, it's crazy. It is the coolest. It is the coolest thing ever.
He deserves it. He deserves it.
He does. All right, Andrew. Unless you have another question, I'll cap this bad boy off. I know you're an avid listener of our show, and you know exactly how we end every single interview. But in case you forgot, what we like to do is we turn the tables on you, and we let you have the floor to ask us whatever questions you've been dying to ask us. So the floor is yours. Feel any burning questions that you have on your mind, you let us know, and we're happy to give you our honest answers.
To date, who is the worst person to interview on your podcast?
We have our answers 100%, but we got to tell you off the air.
It's funny. Kata out of nowhere, Kata texted me the other day. We were talking about something, and then the next day he texted me again and was like, hey, man, like, who's the worst guy you've ever had on? And I told him right away, like, we have the answer, 100%. But it's not fair. There's no chance they're listening to this, but just in case they are, can't say it on the air. Can't burn any bridges. You know that.
I can tell you this, though. We interviewed Beanie Wells, and he was like, I think he lives in like the woods, like not like in a tent. Like he lives in some like deep part of Columbus in the woods. It's like kind of secluded. And the service was terrible, and it was on the phone. So the content was solid, but just like it was a frustrating setup because of the connection, and he was on the phone, but we were in person. So that was like a difficult interview. But we'll tell you off the air who the worst actual like person to talk to was.
That's what's up.
We have one combined answer, but there's a few guys that have disappointed. It's and it's been my fault because I was the guys who brought him on. So it's all right. I mean, people don't understand that you got to bring it when you come on the show. Like there's no like you're not given a second chance so easily. You know what I mean? Like there's only been a handful of recurring guests. Like you got to bring it. You know?
You'll
as long as y'all's answer doesn't change after this one, I'm good.
No. This is a top half.
Trust me, it was not hard to beat the other guys.
You'll appreciate this. So I grew up the biggest Jared Sullinger fan, maybe in the whole world. Like I had the 0 jersey, which was coincidence that we have a 0 this year. It has nothing to do with Jared because of NCAA rules. So I had that jersey. Loved him. I was a little bigger, so I kind of was like, hey, I can play like him. And I like went up to him at the Big Ten tournament in 7th grade or whatever. That was when he wasn't a player anymore. And the first person we ever interviewed was him. And Joey's like, hey man, first interview is gonna be with Sully. I'm like, what? I'm like, the first interview we've ever done is with the guy that I like had as my phone background growing up. So if anyone can appreciate that, it's you.
Yeah, man. He's a good dude, man. He's goofy as hell, but he's a good dude.
We had so much fun. We were singing "Party in the USA" with him.
Oh man,
I pulled out the lyrics out of my pocket.
That was back when the world was normal. That was a year and a half ago. Almost
2.
Yes, almost 2 years. And it was the day before they won the TBT championship. I was working downtown. The finals were in Chicago. I was working downtown, so I went straight from work or my internship.
Both of us.
I guess. And we met at their hotel, and we like snuck into some like ballroom and just recorded like an hour-and-a-half episode with him talking about literally everything in the world. And Andrew, we walked away, and Andrew's like, well, that's the coolest thing I've ever done in my life.
That's what's up, man. That's cool.
And little did I know we'd be interviewing his older brother who taught him all his tricks just a few years later.
Hey, comes around full circle.
So funny. All right, JJ, any other questions you have for us? Even though that's a great one. I'm not going to lie. We get that often. So any other ones?
I was pretty much, I don't know, man. I got a good question. What if somebody wants to start a podcast, if somebody wants to do what you guys are doing, what's your best piece of advice?
Well, Joey would say to call me because he's directed like 50 of his friends to me when they have podcast questions. But I would say just do it because it's fun. and it's cool. And if you're thinking about doing it, we'll help you if that's where that question comes from.
I just thought it would be a cool thing to do, man. I don't know what my topics would be, but it's always been fun. I work out with Terrence Dowles in the morning at Lifetime Fitness, and we just have so many things that we talk about. I always think like, man, damn, that would have been great if we could tell that story on the podcast. So I might be hitting you up, Drew.
No problem. Yeah, happy to help.
He's got not to toot Andrew's horn. He's got we're on the Zedia network, which is his network. So, we already got the Joshua Perry show. So all we need is we need a former, besides me, I don't really count though. We need a real former basketball player show. So you just say the word.
Oh man, you definitely count. You definitely count.
No, you're right. But I would subscribe to a Sully and TD show.
Whatever I do, man, I got to get some better connection. Jesus.
Yeah, we can fix that. Andrew actually will buy you new Wi-Fi. That's part of the whole. Oh, man.
Right on, fellas.
All right, man. We appreciate you coming on, but stick around because we're going to tell you who our worst guest was.